Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Nelson with TUG, and we're so glad to have you join us today for our TUG Connects 365 programming. As you settle in and get ready for the start of today's webinar, let me give a brief introduction to TUG, the user group for both our current members and those of you who represent organizations that have not yet joined our online community of Infor distribution software users. We've all heard the phrase knowledge is power, and I can say with confidence that after today's presentation, you'll be waking up tomorrow with a little more of both. And today is but one of our many in-depth sessions in our 365 series. TUG webinars, online forums, and member events facilitate the timely exchange of ideas and information to help you work smarter and with more confidence. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a powerful combination. If you're currently a member, it pays to get even more involved. And if you're not, please visit our website to discover why 2,300 heads are better than one so that you can be the best at what you do every day. Before we get started, let me touch base on some housekeeping information for just a moment. Buckle up for about 50 minutes. Questions can go into the Q&A bubble on your toolbar, and feel free to comment and share insights with those of you online in chat, and I'll be monitoring both. You're in control of your view. So if you go to the upper right corner, you will be able to select how you want the presenter to be showcased in a side view, standard view, or speaker view. And now, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Grant Howard, founder of Grant W. Howard and Company. Grant, go ahead and take it away. Grant, can you unmute yourself, please?
There we go. Sorry about that, Gloria.
That's okay. If you want to go ahead and screen share.
All right. And now I'm not getting my screen share, Gloria. Oh, here we go. Hang on. I moved my... There we go. I had my pictures in front of it. All right. Are you seeing the screen, Gloria?
You are in full view. Go ahead, and
Very
you may
good.
proceed.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday for you. Or again, best practices inventory management with Grant Howard in challenging times. And today we're going to talk about building a stronger foundation. A lot of you know me, and I've talked about some of these things before. And whether we were in this tough pandemic time or not, I would talk about building a strong foundation around your inventory management practices. Today, though, of course, with everything going on, it's more important than ever to have these things intact that we're going to talk about today, because it allows you to be able to react to the market, to be able to capture the market as it frees up, and to be able to slow down as things change as well. I'm hitting forward. Gloria, hang on one sec. Doesn't want to move. There we go. So today, driving customer experiences and profitability to new levels. We're going to do a little brief overview of company objectives, profitability, longevity, and growth. We'll do a little bit on inventory management, the when, what, how much, and too much. That's going to set up today's discussion for what we want to do is build a strong foundation. And we're going to talk about your stocking list and how you keep the right items on your shelf, when you should stock something, when you should do the opposite and take something from your stocking list and put it back to an order as needed or non-stock. We're going to talk about usage and demand accuracy and the proper utilization of it. So important today. I've had so many phone calls about shifting usages, of course, inventory reduction. And then there's a second part to this. On November 10th, same time, 2 weeks from now, we'll talk about measurement. We talk about objectives, management by objective. We'll talk about the metrics and the measurements that need to be wrapped around your inventory package to drive the results you're looking for. And then, of course, we'll wrap up our day with a take it back. Management by objectives, company objectives. Nothing magical here. Again, from the big picture, there's three things that's driving us: profitability, longevity, which I like to call customer experience, and growth. Today we're going to concentrate again on this customer service and profitability. Remember, as a distributor, we procure, we warehouse, we add value, and we sell. Now there's becoming hybrids of that. We're doing some manufacturing, we're doing some retail, but we're talking about the core distribution side of things. We procure, we warehouse, and we sell. What's important while we're doing that? Are we offering a stellar customer experience? And what's that? Do you have the inventory available for your customers when they need it? Are you able to get it to them on time, whether they're picking it up or you're delivering it or having it shipped? Are we able to do it accurately? Did we capture their order accurately? Did we get them the right product, the right quantity, the right price? Then, of course, if there's any issues that have come up along the way, Do we have a good issue resolution? And is all this at a fair price? This is what your customers are scoring you on, whether they have a formalized scorecard or they're keeping it in our head, just like with you and your suppliers. If they don't have the inventory available, if they can't get it to you on time, if they can't ship it to you accurately, the right product, the right quantity, and the right price, we all know what you're doing. You're looking for another source, and it's no different with your customers. Again, you want to have that great customer experience. You want them wanting to do business with you, coming to you and saying, we want to be working with the distributor of choice. That customer experience is what allows that customer service. Then, of course, we want to be profitable while we're doing it. Can we maximize and optimize our revenue? Can we go out and do good strategic sourcing and buy smarter, but not give up things in other areas? Find a vendor that we can buy better from, but all of a sudden our fill rate, our accuracy, or our on-time delivery go into the hopper. All right, so again, good revenue generation and optimization, good strategic sourcing, that allows us to maximize our margin. Then, with that margin, before we get to go to the bottom line, we have to pay the bills. What are we paying? We're really paying just a handful of things when you cum it all up. We are inventory people. We move inventory around. So we have inbound freight from our vendors. We have internal freight moving it around our branches if we're doing transfers. And we have outbound freight going to our customers. We have transactional costs. And a lot of companies aren't understanding these costs today. Freight, are you measuring it, and do you know where you should be? Are we out there spending more on freight than we should because we were trying to pick up more inventory to get the freight? So on and so forth. Transactionally, POs, transfers, work orders, and sales orders. That's what we do. We cut POs to bring inventory in. We cut transfers to move inventory around. We cut work orders to assemble and build kits. And we cut sales orders to sell the inventory. And all of the transactions and touches that go with that. Of course, we have our assets, our inventory, our AR, and our capital investment. Errors and fires. Are we doing it right the first time? Are we doing it a day's work in a day's time? And, of course, we have administrative and other costs. Today, we're really going to concentrate on that freight, inbound freight and intercompany freight transfers. We're going to take a close look at those POs and transfers, talk about them, and, of course, that inventory investment. All right? So let's take that and bring it down to the inventory management and replenishment. What are we looking at the customer experience level and the profitability when we come down into the inventory? Remember, we procure, we warehouse, and we sell. So we're taking a look at this first section, our procurement, replenishment, and inventory management side of things. Fill rate, on-time delivery, and accuracy. That's the big three, and a lot of us today talk about the perfect order. Perfect fill rate, perfect on time, perfect accuracy, that's the perfect order. And if there's a flaw anywhere in that, fill rate's off, we couldn't deliver something that we should have had that they needed. On-time delivery, we couldn't get it to them on time. Or accuracy, we didn't ship it accurately, the right quantity, the right product, the right price. That would take away from our perfect order. Now today, with the inventory management side of things, because, again, we procure, we warehouse, and we sell, so none of those live in a vacuum or they're four glass walls that I often talk about. We all have to work together. The fill rate, where's that coming from? Replenishment, bringing the inventory in, but also from the sales team, giving us the correct usage through order entry, lost sales and exceptional sales. The warehouse, keeping good on hands. We all have to work together. But the big part of fill rate comes back to the replenishment. If we're getting the right data fed to us to be able to go out and replenish at the right time so we don't run out, and the right quantities. So the fill rate. On the profitability side, of course, inbound freight, intercompany freight, transactional costs. That's our cost of POs, transfers, work orders if you're doing them, and, of course, the cost of that inventory. And, again, here's what I have to go in and talk about with so many companies. Our job is not to minimize the freight in itself or the cost of POs and transfers, the transactional, or the asset cost. Our goal, our objective is to go minimize the total of those three. What do I mean by that? I could come in today, and if a vendor offers a particular minimum, and I need to replenish today, but I'm nowhere near minimum, what do we often do? We want to get that freight, so we beef the order up. We go and add extra inventory to that PO to get today's freight. That's great if we're doing it right. If we just saved $100 in freight and it only cost us $50 additional in cost to carry that inventory, then that was a good deal. If it saved us $100 in freight, but we had to bring in so much extra inventory that it cost us $200 in cost to carry, that wasn't such a good deal. So we have to look at these costs in the total: freight, transactional cost, and asset cost, and reduce the total of it, not one or the other, one of the three. We have to minimize all three of them. That's what allows us to deliver that stellar customer experience that we're looking to give to our customers at the lowest cost, therefore maximizing our bottom line. Let's bring that down one more level. So our company objectives: good profitability, good customer experience. We brought that into our inventory world objectives: good fill rate, reduce freight, reduce cost to carry, reduce our transactional cost. Now, if that's all we do, and that's what so many of us do, we then say that's our objectives, and we send our people out with no tools, no processes, no education, no understanding of how to do it, and we expect them to do it. The inventory model, how it works, is geared to drive these objectives, to drive the results that you want to. We drive this model. So again, the when, what, and how much. How much is too much? It addresses the objective of customer experience and profitability. So we have what's called the order point. This is the spot where the system comes in and says, it's time to replenish. And the whole idea behind the order point is you have enough on your shelf to meet your customers' needs and your branch needs if you're doing any type of central warehousing or distribution, and there's enough on the shelf to meet those needs while this PO is coming in. So it's the usage during the lead time. So this is our first direct component to the fill rate. This directly impacts our order point, and if we replenish at order point, are we going to have a good fill rate? Then when it's time to replenish, when do we plan on coming back? That's our order cycle. If I'm going to come back in a week, I have to get at least a week's supply. If I'm not coming back for a month, I have to get at least a month's supply. What's going on with that is that's starting to come in. If we do it correctly and use our systems correctly, that's looking at freight and cost to carry and saying, is this freight target that this vendor offers good? Is it a good deal? Do we sell enough of their product to sell off enough to go back for the target, to be able to make target in every 30, 60, 90 days? Or would we have to buy a year's supply to go out and get freight, which wouldn't be a good deal because of the cost to carry that we'd spend? So again, that's where we're coming up with the order cycle. And then the EOQ is coming in one step further and looking at cost to carry and cost to purchase. And what that's doing, it's basically coming back and saying if it's a very, very expensive item, it's what? It's cheaper to go through the replenishment process, cut the PO, receive, expedite it, confirm it, receive it, put it away, do the stock reconciliation, the AP reconciliation, pay the books. It's saying if it's really expensive, it's less expensive to go out and cut a lot of POs, cut a PO every week for this product, but don't put much on your shelf because it's very expensive to sit on it. Versus if it was very inexpensive, it would come back and say, buy a lot of this. It's cheaper to sit on the product than to keep going through the replenishment process. That's our order cycle in EOQ, what to replenish and how much, and it helps us minimize the total freight, cost to carry, and cost to purchase. So there in front of you right now is our model that allows us to deliver a stellar fill rate at the lowest cost. It's important that this is intact in your company. Then, of course, this last part, the inventory we don't need, surplus, excess inventory. And, of course, that's causing both profitability and customer experience problems. If it's inventory sitting on the shelf, it isn't moving, it's 24 cents on the dollar, so we can watch our bottom line ticking away as that inventory is sitting there. And how is it hurting the fill rate, Grant? It's also tying up dollars that we could invest into other inventory that we do need to meet our customers' needs. So again, today, this is what we're going to talk about and now dive into our discussion points. For this to work properly within your organization, this works against your stocking items. So are we stocking the correct items? If you have an item that isn't stocked, it's an order as needed, it's a non-stock, it doesn't have an order point, line point. It says when you commit it is when we will buy it. So that big difference between stocking items and items we don't stock, and is this model working properly for it? And do we know when to stock an item and when to stop stocking an item? Of course, usage, and I'll put in here and lead time. Usage is all through this. Usage during lead time, then that's a component of safety. Usage during the order cycle. Usage is fed into the EOQ, and of course, usage is part of the surplus. So we need that intact. So here's our opportunities for today: the stocking list, the usage accuracy, and our inventory reduction. Let's talk about the stocking list first. There's two components I often talk about We want to get some of the emotion out of our world because we put a lot of emotion in it, and we know how this works. If we had a customer ask for a lot of something today and we didn't have it on the shelf, the salesperson gets a hold of the president, the sales manager, the inventory manager, whoever it might be, and go, boy, if we had this inventory on the shelf, we could sell a lot of it. I'm getting asked for it all the time. We hear about it all the time. So what do emotionally? We go and put 1,000 of them on the shelf. And a year later, 999 of them are still there. We let the emotion come into it. We can come back and do this through data and still want the human input. We never want to lose that, but we also want to look at the data. So again, there's two components that I like companies to look at. Hits. And hits represents how important is this item to your customer? How often are we being asked for it? And a hit can be from a customer or from a central warehouse from a branch. So how often does it hit? And of course, the cost of the item. And we all know how this is going to work. Something that's high hits is important to our customer. We want to stock it. Something that's high cost, we're trying not to stock it. And we need to bring those two worlds together. So let's walk through this together. If we had an item out there that was high hits and low cost, and most of you already gone through this, it wouldn't take us long. We'd spend about 2 seconds, say, of course, Grant, we would stock that. Now we'd look at some other things which we'll talk about in a little bit, but for this discussion now, an item with high hits and low cost, if we weren't stocking it, we should probably consider stocking it. Something with high hits and high cost. Now, some of you are getting the answer, but you paused for a minute. That first one might have taken 2 seconds, the high hits, low cost. When you came to the next one, high hits, you were ready to stock it. But then you saw that high cost, and that stops us for a minute because we watch stocking high-cost items. But then we came back to what? High hits. We shouldn't be afraid of stocking the things we're selling. We should be stocking the things our customers are asking for on a regular basis. That's why we're distributors. That's what we do. So, of course, even though it has a high cost, as long as it has the high hits, we're going to stock it. And just a side note, that column right there is what keeps our company in business. That first item, high hits, low cost, we probably aren't making enough margin to cover the transactional cost and the cost to carry, and we're covering that and stocking it for customer needs. The second item, though, high hits, high cost, that's where we're getting enough margin on things to actually cover the transactional cost and the cost to carry. That's what's driving money to the bottom line. This next one, low hits and low cost. So we're not getting a lot of hits on it. Let's call low hits 4, 5, 6 hits in a year, and low cost, let's call it $5, $10, $20. Some of you are saying $1. We'll work through this. Now this one takes a little longer because, again, it's low hits. It's not real important to our customers, but still, it'd be nice to have it when they ask for it. It's low cost. It doesn't cost much to leave it on the shelf. So let's work through it from strictly a cost function. Which method would make the most money or cost us the least amount off of our bottom line for a low hit, low cost item? So here we go. We've got an item out here that costs $1. We sell it for $1.50. We sell it 4 times a year, and the quantity we sell is 4. So it says we're selling it 4 times a year, 1 at a time. We're getting 4 hits. Our cost to carry is 24%, and again, in case you're not sure what that means, it says if we sit on $1 worth of inventory for a year, we're now going to have $1.24 into it. Warehouse space, obsolescence and shrinkage, insurance, taxes, and of course, interest to the bank. We don't own the inventory, or if we do, there's an opportunity cost, the interest charge, 24 cents. And at this company, it costs $4 for our cost of purchase. So to put the PO on, to confirm it, to expedite it if it needs to be expedited, have it come in the back door and have it get received, do the put away, put it up for stock, do the AP reconciliation, pay the bill, reconcile the bank account, $4 per line. So here's what it comes down to. Should we stock this item? We sell it 4 times a year, and it costs us $1. 24% carrying cost, $4 cost of purchase per line. So up to this point, whether it's a stock, orders needed, or non-stock, whatever your company calls these, same number, $6 in sales. Again, 4 per sale year sold, $1.50 each, $6 in sales. Cost of goods, 4 times $1, $4. Our margin is $2. Now our objective is, which way would we make the most money on this item? Stocking it or leaving it at the vendor and bringing it in for our customers when they order it? Let's assume for a minute freight's going to be 0 on either side, meaning when we bring this in for stock, it's on a stock freight paid bill, or if we're bringing it in as a non-stock, we're waiting for our next freight stock PO, so there's no freight involved. So we're going to buy it once a year if we stock it. EOQ is going to kick in on this. It's a low-priced item, and it's going to say buy all 4 of these at once. It's not going to come back and say buy one and buy another one in 3 months. It's going to say buy 4 of these. So we're going to go through the replenishment transactions one time at $4. Then we've got our cost to carry. We're going to bring in 4 of these units or $4 worth of inventory. Now, some of you are right away going, Grant, $4 of inventory at 24 cents is 96 cents, not 48. Average inventory is what we're talking about here. If we bought this on January 1 or it came in on January 1 and the last one sells on December 31st, our average inventory is going to be 2. We're going to start off 4 at the beginning of the year, be at 0 at the end of the year, and our average inventory is 2 at 24% carrying cost, again, 48 cents. So there we are. We had $2 in margin. We've got $4.48 between cost of purchase and cost to carry. Grant, I was thinking we shouldn't stock this. Look at that. We lost $2.48 on this. But before you conclude that, let's go through the other side of this. Same side, orders needed, but now each time we sell it, one at a time, we're going to cut a PO and bring it in. What's our freight? 0. We're going to bring it on a prepaid PO. What's our cost of purchase? We're going to buy it 4 times throughout the year at $4 per cost of purchase, or every time we buy it. So 4 times 4, $16. There's that cost to carry that we were saving by not putting it on our shelf. We lost $14 on this. So here's what we're going with this. If this is an item you're going to offer, if you're going to offer it, now what's the way? Either way, you're going to lose on this item is what we're coming down to. And we talked about that a little bit ago. There are many items that do not generate money to our bottom line, but we're carrying it because of breadth and depth. We're carrying it because our customers wouldn't continue to come to us if we didn't have this available to them. So in this case, we have to come to not which one makes us the most money, which one costs us the least amount of money. And again, a $1 item, 4 hits a year, it would be better off having it on your shelf. Now, again, you have to look at obsolescence, how reliable and loyal that customer is, some other things we'll discuss. But from a big cost-only basis, we are going to offer this to our customer. I would have this on the shelf. Now, if you didn't want to lose any money on this, what would be the solution? We could not offer it, not as a stocking item and not as a non-stock item. It would be an item we did not offer. Now, let's beef this up. So that one we would stock. Let's go make this a $10 item. All the rest the same. We're just 10x. Now we've got $60 in sales, $40 in cost of goods sold, $20 in margin. And now we're still going to buy it once a year on this side. It's going to kick in, still low enough EOQ, so we're going to have that $4 one-time purchase for the 4 units. Now we're going to sit on $4.80 worth of cost to carry because, again, what's our average inventory? $20, not $40, $20. Again, half of it will be gone through the year and then down to 0. So we have a $4.80 cost to carry, i.e., we're now making money, everyone, $11.20. On the orders needed side, all of this is the same, 60, 40, and 20, no freight. This time we're going to buy it every time we sell it, one at a time. So we're going to cut 4 POs, do 4 receivings, pay 4 invoices, do 4 reconciliations, $16. We didn't have any cost to carry. We made $4. What's a better one here? Still stocking this $10 item. Now, here's what we're looking at, everyone. This is important in so many companies. We don't have time for it today, but we have gone transactional happy. Because of our technology, it allows us to cut POs easy. It allows us to do all of these transactions so easily, but it's eating up our bottom line. This is a great example of it. I would be stocking this item, everyone, if it was a $10 item, 4 hits a year. A $100 item, 4 hits a year. And you're seeing how this works. Buy it one time, $48 cost to carry, $148 in net profit. Over here, buying it 4 times a year, $16, no cost to carry, $184. Here's where we flipped. This $100 item, now the cost to carry it starts to exceed the transactional cost. Now, EOQ may kick in and say, we should only buy 2 of these at a time, $4. But for now, if we bought all 4 of these at one time versus buying all 4 of them one at a time, here's the difference. And now this is where I would switch over and say, this $100 item, only with 4 hits per year, we should leave that on the vendor shelf and bring it in for our customers as they need it. Now, again, what would change that on this side? Customer critical. This has to be on our shelf. If they order today, they have to get it. It can't be sitting on the vendor shelf. So again, we take that into account. What's our break even, just to put it out there? Here's our break even point. For a 4-hit item, if you have a cost of purchase in your company around $4, which a lot of you are, $4, $5, $6, a 24% carrying cost. If you're a company that's in a country that does not charge taxes on inventory, or one of the states, Jersey, Nevada, you're really around 20% cost to carry, not 24%. But here, at $25 item, 4 hits a year, I'm going to spend $4 on cost of purchase, buy it once, sit on that $100 of inventory, average inventory $50, $12, $34 bottom line contribution. If I keep it as an order as needed or a non-stock item, I'm going to buy it 4 times, $16, no carrying cost. Again, 50 minus 16, 34. This is our break even. So if we had an item out there, and again, this all started with, would you stock a low hit, low cost item? And some of you are looking at this, go, 4 hits, yeah, I'll consider that low. $25, depending on your industry, may or not be low. Even some items that are what I'm going to call mid-priced are still worth stocking on the low hits. Because why would I come stock this item? If it was an item that wasn't going to go obsolete. There's other issues that when we don't have it on the shelf. There's nothing better than a customer giving us the order, give us 10-line order. We're able to fill all 10 lines, ship complete, on time, accurately, i.e. perfect order, no back orders, nothing waiting for it. Invoice them, they go away happy, we're done. If we left it as an order as needed, we're still going to make theoretically the same bottom line, but now the customer's waiting. There's a chance they may start looking somewhere else. You know where I'm going with this. That's our break-even point. 4 hits, $25. So let's come back to this. Looking at hits and the cost again, what we just went over was a low hit, low cost item, 4 hits, and in this case, $25 or less. Yes, I would stock that. And then, of course, this last one, low hits, high cost, most likely not, unless there was some contract or some special customer that you really had a tremendous amount of loyalty from and they wanted you to stock it. Otherwise, we would leave those low hits, high cost items on the vendor shelf. So let's bring this home. The stocking list, what to take back with you. First off, to do your stocking list properly, I go into a lot of companies. Do you have a stocking policy and procedures? Where do you start considering how many hits, what customers, how many customers have to buy it? Whatever your policy is and your procedure, is it have PET wrapped around it, processes, education, and using your technology? Within that policy and procedure, it should consider hits and cost. It should be looking at, is it customer mission critical, i.e., it's not important to our customer whatsoever, and it doesn't make sense to stock it from a hits and cost standpoint, leave it on the vendor shelf. That's kind of important. Leave it in our central warehouse. It's pretty important. Leave it at the branch that serves the customer. It's quite a bit important, Grant. It's actually sitting in the customer's factory, on the floor over in the shipping. It's extremely important, Grant. It's sitting right on their line in a crib, right ready to fire up into the line. It all depends how important it is. Or if you have an unreliable supply chain, what should you do there? We're much more apt to stock things if it's an item that's hard to get when we go to get it. Every time I order it as a non-stock, we have to wait 2 months or we don't know how long it's going to take. You might end up stocking that item as well, even though it's a low-hit, high-cost item. And, of course, we have to take in obsolescence and shelf life. Those are all considerations and things that should be in your written, documented stocking policy and procedure that your people have education on. Good exception reporting. Today we talk about it. We have loads of data. We should be utilizing this data. Your system knows how many hits were against this item. Your system knows the cost. Put together some good exception reports to get rid of the data versus the emotional. Possible products to stock, your system should be looking through once a month, your system, if not more often, combing through it and saying, if I've got an item out there that I don't stock and I've had at least 3 hits against it in the last 12 months, I should probably stock it. Now, this report that's coming out, whether it's on paper, whether it's on the screen, however you get this data, it's not saying to go change it to stock. It's saying I want to make my buyers, my inventory managers, my people see what's going on out there. I want to expose them to this item and say, here's a possible item you should stock. Now, there's one more feature I often add to that if you haven't got it written or if it's already in your company. Again, it's 3 hits in the last 12 months or more and at least 1 hit in the last month. What that does is keeps the same item from showing up. Let's say this month an item popped up. It took 3 hits against it, and it's taken 3 hits in the last 12 months, so I see it. It's a fairly high-cost item. I'm not sure. If I don't do something special, it's going to show up on my exception tools again next month. So the way that we take care of that, and a hit in the last month. So if I sold it this month, and it pops up on my report because now it's got 4 hits against it, let's say, and I decide not to do anything with it. To keep it from showing up next month, what has to happen is another hit has to go against it. So the next time I take a hit against this item, now I'm going to be at 5 hits. It's going to show back up for my buyers to review. That's a great functioning report. Now, we're talking about items to stock, things that we're not stocking. There's the flip side. Companies have gotten much better at looking at their data, combing through the system, using some exception tool to say, here are items that maybe we should stock. We haven't got nearly as savvy at letting the system roll through the system and saying, here's items we stock and maybe we shouldn't anymore. And again, there's less than 3 hits in the last 12 months, and this item's been on our system, on our shelves for at least a year, i.e., it's not going to pick up a brand new item that we just put on the system last month that has 0 hits against it at this point. It says, I've got less than 3 hits in the last 12 months, and I'm at least 12 months old. Put that out on the visibility screen again for our buyers, inventory managers to look at and say, should we be stocking this? Now, just the opposite conversation. There may be contracts involved. It may be a hard item to get a hold of, so we're stocking it for that reason. It may be just that we really have a loyal customer, even though it's not contractually in place, that we're holding this for. That's when the human touch gets in. And then, of course, and I go into a lot of companies, again, we've gotten much better at this, but if we decide that we're going to stock an item, it's very important to set up the authorized replenishment path. We are now going to stock this item at this branch. Where are we going to replenish it from? Is it coming from the vendor or is it coming from another branch? And this is so important to not only have the item show up on the right PO or the right transfer when the system suggests the PO or transfer, it's also going to get out there and make sure the usage is correct. If I'm transferring this product from another branch but don't tell the system that and I just keep manually cutting the transfer, that central location, that central warehouse, that mother branch, whatever you want to call it, has not been queuing up the usage because of these transfers because we never set up the ARP. So again, have a good stocking policy and procedure, have good exception tools wrapped around it, and make sure you're setting your ARP up correctly. And one tool that we do that are we look at any transfers that were ARP exceptions. We stock balance, we use surplus, we sometimes steal and borrow from other branches. But again, I have the system still looking that says if I'm cutting a lot of transfers for a product out of a branch that's not its authorized path, show it to my buyer because maybe our paths are incorrect. Usage, accuracy, and demand. And again, when I say usage and demand, just some people call it usage, some people call it demand, so I want to make sure that's out there. Now again, today, I've had a lot of conversations in the last 6 months. Everyone knows what's going on. We hit the COVID in March, the economy got shut down, everything kind of shut down, but then all of a sudden, certain things were picking up. Then somewhere around July or August, companies said, we got to get moving again. People said, we got to get moving. We've seen the economy go back up, and now we're seeing it kind of go both ways. There's been a lot of shifting back to the stocking list. What might have been a good stocking item a year ago may not sell in our current economy. And what wasn't selling or wasn't a good stocking item a year ago was a non-stock, may be one of your top sellers today. If you're in the safety industry, think about masks. Think about a bunch of different things, how the usage has shifted. Usage, demand, that is the cornerstone to our replenishment system. It's used for the order point. That's the fill rate. It's used for the line point. That's our profits, how much we buy. It's used for the EOQ. That helps generate profits or maximize our bottom line. And, of course, it's used for surplus. How much is too much? And that both hurts our profitability by sitting on inventory we don't need, and it hurts our customer experience by tying up dollars in inventory that we don't need that we should be putting into inventory we do need, unless all of you have unlimited budgets out there, and I know we don't. You're getting pushed on your inventory budget. You're getting pushed to increase the turns. So freeing up that surplus and bringing it back into inventory we need helps both your profitability and your customer service. Now, here's the key with this. There's two parts to good usage. Good usage buckets, the usage we're collecting, and different systems do it differently, but we have this data out there that we're collecting. Then we take that data, do some kind of forecast against it to come up with what is our current usage, that we're average monthly usage, our average daily usage, to apply for the lead time against the order cycle, to plug into the EOQ, to plug into our surplus formula. So again, we have to have good usage data. That's our buckets. But then we have to use it properly. Are we seasonal or non-seasonal? If we're a non-seasonal company, sorry, you guys, says I got 10 minutes to get wrapped up with you, or thereabout. Okay? Your usage method, if it's a non-seasonal item, we can look at the history that just happened the last 3, 4, 5 months, and it's a good predictor of what's going to happen next month and the following month. But if it's a seasonal item, we can't look at the last 3 months. Think about a pool distributor. It's a great time of year. I live in Michigan. All the pools just got closed up. But if we were running an item as a non-seasonal, chlorine, what's your system telling you right now? Boy, we just came out of July, August, and September. Buy, buy, buy. That's what happens when you run seasonal items as non-seasonal or non-seasonal items as seasonal. You have to have them set up properly, and the number of months, what I call the window. How large of a window are we going to look at? A 3-month, a 4-month, or a 5-month. If we are seasonal, our systems have some great trending mechanisms today, but they're perimeter driven. And again, when we say trending, remember seasonal, we're going back to last year and looking forward. If we're that pool company, we don't want to look at the last 3 months. We want to go back to last year, October, and look forward. And it says, oh, October, November, December. I guess we don't need so much chlorine and shock in Michigan in the upcoming months. Now, under the trending, there are some parameters. How much will you let it trend up automatically? 150, 200, 250%. How much will you let it trend down? 50, 25%, 10%. And what we've really noticed, as all of you have, our usage has shifted a lot over the last 6 months. It's going up and down. It's definitely different now than a year ago. It was definitely different in the spring than it was a year ago, the spring before that. And it's probably going to be much different this coming spring than it was last spring. Keeping an eye on the trending exception and having your trending exception reports and having your buyers work them and understand them and know how to fix it correctly is key. So, again, trending, and then there's also advanced by lead time. And all we're saying there is I have a seasonal item, and I have a 90-day lead time. So remember what seasonal items do. They go back a year and start looking forward. Well, if I'm sitting here in October today and I'm buying something with a 90-day lead time, am I buying for October? No. Am I buying for November? No. Am I buying for December? No, because it's a 90-day lead time. I'm buying for January. So our system has to acknowledge that when we utilize the usage buckets. So again, we have to collect good usage. We have to make sure the usage buckets are correct when they get skewed, and we'll talk about that. And then we have to utilize those usage buckets correctly to come up with a good average usage to feed into our replenishment system. The biggest thing that can help us today is our order entry people. That's where usage comes from. That's where usage is controlled from. Lost sales and exceptional sales is what I'm talking about. So let's just break down. What are our usage buckets made up? Of course, when we sell something or transfer something, that creates usage. But then what if we didn't have it to sell? The customer calls us today and says, I'll take 10, and we say, we don't have any. Do you want to back order it, Mr. Customer? No, and they hang up the phone. We didn't do a sale. And if next month they call back and ask for that 10, we have nothing that's going to generate for that 10 to come in unless we're doing lost sales. Lost sales is nothing more than putting everything on the system that your customers ask for, not just what you're able to ship and back order, everything they asked for, then filling out the shipped and back ordered accordingly, and now what we're capturing is not what we were able to ship to them or back order, but what they really wanted. That's lost sales. Exceptional sales is just the opposite, and a lot of you are having some exceptional sales now. We're coming in, and we normally sell 10 of these, Grant, and someone just bought 100 of them. Now, that may or may not be an exceptional sale. If the sale is going to start repeating, and that's now our new normal sale, I want that to go in. But if it was a one-time sale and we know it's not going to repeat, we want, through order entry, we can do this, we would flag that exceptional so it doesn't create usage. Otherwise, we're going to bring it in. And, of course, plus or minus human input. We always want information from our field. We always want information from our team. We always want information from our customers. Well, some of you are going, I looked at the last forecast, Grant. I'm not sure I want my customers' information. Kidding aside, you know what I mean. We do want the information from our vendors. So, again, what makes up our usage buckets? Our sales, our transfers, our lost sales, our exceptional sales, taking out plus or minus human input, and this creates our usage. Lost sales, it's not that hard. The key is asking them what they want. If they come up and say, how many of these do you have? They call up and say, how many of these do you have? And if you tell them 2, they might only take the 2. If you stop and say, how many did you want? You might have heard 10. Canceled back order should be a lost sale. If I do a direct to fill in, now some systems have, if you're pulling it out of order entry and going out and do a local procurement, I call it, where you can do it right from there, and you do a direct to take care of a back order, it may already be doing the usage for you. So you have to understand how your system works. But if you do a direct to fill in for a stock buy and it's not logging usage for you through your system, that should have been a lost sale. Otherwise, next month, says don't put it on the shelf. We want to do it as a direct sale. Substitutions. They came in for product A. We don't have it, and we give them product B. Again, some systems automatically do this if you do it through the substitution. If not, product A still should have gone on. 1 ordered, 0 shipped, 0 back ordered. Lost sale of 1. Item B, we're selling it to them. 1 ordered, 1 shipped, 0 back ordered, exceptional sale. So now, even though we sold them item B, we shifted our usage back to A and didn't leave it on B. If we ship it from another warehouse for them, if they said, we really would have liked to get it from your warehouse, but I'll take it from the other one, that should have been a lost sale at our warehouse, so we make sure and have it for them next month, and that should have been an exceptional sale at the other warehouse so we don't push it back into them. You can do this during sales entry, right there. You can keep an open lost sales ticket if you need to pull it up quickly and just add it to that open ticket. Or there's this great invention that's been around for, I don't know, a couple thousand years. Write it down on a piece of paper. If we don't have time to enter the order, the key is to capture what your customers want. They're telling you every day, here's what we would like. And so many of us are doing what? Only putting on our system what we happen to have that day versus what the customer wanted. That's what drives good usage. And it will help keep our fill rate. A lot of you measure fill rate and it says 99% and you say it's broke. Fill rate report is not broken. If they want it 10 and we said we only have 8 and they say I don't want a back order, what do our folks do? 8 ordered, 8 shipped, no back ordered. 2 nasty things just happened. Next month when they come in, how many we're going to have when they want it 10? We're going to have 8 because that's exactly what we told the system. And again, that glorious fill rate, 8 ordered, 8 shipped. What's our fill rate? 0. Incomplete. We didn't do it. But yet, our system is saying 8 out of 8, 100%. While we're good as the customer drives by to your competition. Let's take it back on usage. Lost sales and exceptional sales. All good usage starts in order entry. Put PET around it, processes, education, and take advantage of your technology. It's in your systems. Usage data, correction, and smoothing. Usage goes astray. Mistakes happen. Back orders get put in the wrong buckets, so on and so forth. You need good exception reporting. When we had high exception or a high usage or a low usage, get your humans to get in and do that smoothing if it needs to take place. Information from the team. Grant, we didn't sell it, we didn't log lost sales, but our usage should have been 20 a month. We might have to go back and fill in those buckets. Customer forecasts. These all should be part of our usage correction and smoothing. Proper data utilization. We've talked about this. If you have great data buckets for usage, but you apply the wrong method, it's seasonal and you're running it as non-seasonal, or it's non-seasonal and you're running it as seasonal. If you're not watching your trending parameters, if you're not watching your advanced by lead time, if you don't have the usage window size correct, you may have great usage, but then you apply formulas and parameters to it that takes great usage buckets and becomes wrong. You have to have great data, and you have to have how I utilize the data to come up with the average monthly usage or average daily. If you have access to a usage or demand planner, those are great, especially today. They can go out and really help us smooth out some of this usage. And a lot of us, not all the systems on board or on today's call have this, but threshold minimum usage. That's like a threshold minimum order point, everyone. It's a way to say, I'm going to prop up my usage to a certain date. And when I go calculate my usage, if it calculates less than this, move my usage up to this until, let's say, the spring. So I just picked up a new customer. There's no usage. In the past, we'd have to fill out all those usage buckets or freeze the item. Don't like either one of them. The best way today would be filling out the usage buckets. But if you had a threshold minimum usage, customer committed to 100 a month, we could go put a threshold minimum usage on for 100. And what's nice about it, it will let it grow. It just won't let it go below. So again, here's the key. Our usage buckets, our data comes from the past. We're trying to use it in the present to represent the future of what's going to happen tomorrow. We have to take those data buckets that came from yesterday and make them simulate what's happening tomorrow. That is critical. And just a reminder here, even though today we're talking about usage and there's a tremendous amount of shifts in usage due to what we're going through, lead times are also shifting tremendously. Everything we just talked about, usages, would apply for lead times. Lead times are going out. We're seeing it. The supply chain is starting to fill back in. It has been the last couple months. Don't know what's going to happen here over the next 2 months, but your lead times are going out. Let your system acknowledge that. And inventory reduction. We have to understand when we're reducing inventory. This up here in the red is the surplus. No one wants it. No one needs it. Get a formalized program around it. Let go of the emotions and let it go. Put the goals around it, put the program around it, and start working that surplus. If you get into this orange and yellow world, there's not that there's improvement there. It's not that we can't lower your EOQ, your order cycle, i.e., buy less more often, because that's what that means. Let's cut more POs. So as long as your replenishment team, that's your purchasing, your receiving, your put away, and your AP reconciliation folks can keep up, we can reduce inventory there. But be careful. That's our what and how much. That's our freight and cost to carry minimalization. That's where we go and minimize our total cost. So we have to do it the right way. And of course, where we often, Grant, we've got too much inventory. Let's go reduce safety stocks. We don't need all of that. That's where we're playing with our order point. That's where we're playing with customer experience. Be very careful down there. You start minimizing those, you might start driving stock outs. And, of course, understanding this is your low risk. Go get rid of surplus. You're not hurting your customer experience. Come down here, you may start affecting your customer experience. So work up in the surplus and the slower moving, then EOQ, then order cycle, down into this world. You have a high risk of service level impacts down here. A few other areas, we've already talked about the stocking list. Are you stocking items we shouldn't stock today? Are our orders out there with customers? Do we have a lot of committed inventory and we shouldn't have so much committed out there and we're working our open orders? Are we using futures? Hey, this order doesn't go for 6 months. Will the system tell you when it's time to release that and bring the inventory in? Or are we bringing the inventory in today and sitting on it for 6 months? And, of course, unavailable inventory. It's damaged. It needs to go back. It's obsolete, whatever it may be. So, again, take it back on your inventory management. For you to work surplus, dead, too much, all of it, I consider that all the same. Your A item, if you have more than a 12-month supply, you have too much of it most likely. Just the same 24 cents on the dollar getting eaten up by it as that inventory that hasn't moved off your shelf in 20 years. You have to wrap goals around it. Percentage of inventory, how much surplus are you sitting on? Measure your surplus over 12 months. We'll still be here in 12 months compared to your total inventory. If you don't have a program in place, you have at least 25% of your inventory that will still be there a year from now. Most likely 33%. A lot of you, over 50% of your inventory will still be there in a year. Put goals around it and a monthly disposition goal. You have to have a good proactive prevention program. What's that mean? Be careful what we're bringing in. Every day we're receiving surplus. They ordered a non-stock 2 weeks ago. We ordered it on a PO. The next day the customer canceled it. We never canceled the PO. Or our usages have shifted. We've got something coming in, and we've lost the customer. It came in, and we put it away, and we should have been bringing it in and initiating the RGA and sending it back. And of course, identification and disposition are so important. What surplus do I have, and do we have a good disposition plan to get rid of it? Committed inventory. During tough times, customers put more orders on. They commit inventory. Take a look at your committed. Most of you should be running around 10% of your inventory committed at any given time. If it's up above 10%, take a look how old those commitments are, unavailable and damaged. And of course, watch the incentives. Hey, they just offers a 2% discount, a 5% discount. They're closing out the year and they're offering a discount. Know how to go out and how much you should be buying so it doesn't become surplus. The management by objective, management by measurement, we're going to cover that again, this last part of this, November 10th. Join us then. So let's just bring this home. Driving results, customer experience and profitability, and we're talking about the inventory and replenishment world. We could talk about the warehouse world. We could talk about the sales world. What do we want to take back for our inventory people today? Building a strong foundation. The things that we've talked about today, the stocking list, good usage, getting rid of inventory that we don't need, that needs to be core within your organization. That's part of your foundation that you build on. If that is not in place, it is a hard time building the next floor. It's a hard time building the optimization in. That's foundational things, everyone. Is it stock? Should it be? Is it time to replenish? How long has it been here? How many should we have? Do we have too much? If your inventory program and system cannot answer these questions, then the job of providing stellar customer experience at the lowest cost is definitely a lot harder than it needs to be within your organization. Systematic approaches are 90% of stellar customer experience at lowest cost. Systematic approaches to should we stock an item or not, looking at hits and costs, how to minimize freight, cost to carry, cost to purchase in total. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens by understanding how it works, utilizing your system properly, and then going out and optimizing those results through good measurement and objectives. The key is to devise good processes, good education, and good tools, what I call PET, that allow you to give the customer what they want every time, accurately, consistently, and efficiently at the lowest cost. And again today, do you have PET wrapped around what you stock and what you don't? Do you have PET wrapped around your usage accuracy? Do you have good PET wrapped around inventory reduction? So here's the 4 steps that I help companies with so much to help them be successful. Do we have good objectives in place? Profitability, customer experience, and growth. Management by objective. Do we have a good plan in place? Proper planning promotes positive performance. It's proven. It's amazing how many companies I visit that don't have the objectives in place, don't have the plan in place, and they magically expect things to happen properly. Plan. Execution. Now we're doing the work. It needs to be accurate. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be efficient. How do you get those? Accuracy is by a total quality management. When we make mistakes, we measure it. We can acknowledge our system finds when we issue credits, when on-hands are off. And then we say, why was it off? And we keep track, and we fix the PET around that. A good PET brings consistency. We do it the same every time. And, of course, lean brings efficiency. So, again, a good stocking list, good usage accuracy, and good inventory reduction will help drive customer experience and profitability to new levels of where you want to be. And, of course, measurement. Are we measuring performance, improvement, and opportunities? Measurement by management. That's where it all comes together. And, again, November 10th. A little bit about myself you can come back and read, and just a couple reminders. Here again, inventory management, improving profits, and offering stellar customer experience, objectives and measurement. 2 weeks from today, same time, 2 o'clock, we're going to spend 40 or an hour together again going over that. Then some emails are starting to come out, some invites. We're holding a 2-day. It's not our 3-day on-site 10 steps to best practices. This is a 2-day. We're going to be in December. You've got the information that's coming out to you. If you don't have it, it's down here below, a virtual event. Join us for that. It will help you drive your customer experience, your profitability, your ROI on your inventory, your employee happiness to new levels. I really appreciate the time today, and thank everyone for being on the line. Gloria, I'm handing it back.
Well, thank you, Grant. We do have some questions that have populated. Let me address the first one. Is there a report to get usage for all of our products?
Ask me that one more time, Gloria.
Is there a report to get usage for all our products?
I would, now again, I don't know what system, and if you're on there, you can come back. Different systems run differently, but most of these people today are M4 or probably looking to go to M4. And whether you're fax, whether you're A+, if we even go back to the SHIMS days, SX, the Cloud Suite distribution, there's reports in there. Now again, that was a pretty general question. There's reports in there. If you want to list out usage for your items, it's in there. Now, I will say, if it's not what you want, today's technology, data's pretty easy to pull out of your system. Go see the report you've got. See what you're trying to do with it. And if it's not quite right, go pull the data and make your own report. Go ahead, Gloria.
And the next question says, can you please expand on the usage evaluation tools?
Usage evaluation?
Yes, expand on the usage evaluation tools.
Well, again, I believe what I'm being asked there is a few things. First, stock list, there's an evaluation. Should I stock it or not? Now, that's based off hits and cost. Some companies use usage. You got to be careful. An item I sell 10,000 with a year, and if it was 10,000 hits, it means I sell one at a time, versus an item I sell 10,000 a year, and it was one hit. And where I'm going with that is we only looked at usage. They both have a usage of 10,000. So that's the first thing that I like to talk about. The second part, though, there's a lot of usage evaluations, and I think what you're particularly talking about are probably some of the exception reports. Low usage this month, high usage this month. All of the systems involved with M4 have good exception tools wrapped around exceptional usage. You've got to go and set up the parameters and say, what do you consider a low usage and what do you consider a high usage, and then have the system put it out. Now, remember one thing if you're working high usage. If we sell 100 one month, 100 the previous month, 100 the third month back, and this month we sold 1,000, human nature is say, oh, that's an unusual sale. May or may not be. We just may have had a usage shift. So what do you really have to do? You have to go back and talk to the customer and the salespeople and say, is this going to repeat? Here's the key. An unusual sale. That's what we're not really talking about. Not high sales, a non-repeating sale. It's not the size. It's whether it's going to repeat or not. So again, I believe that's what they're looking for, Gloria.
He did post, the original poster did post another notation and said forecast ?
So put those two questions together for me.
Expand on the usage of evaluation tools. And I think that he's specifically asking specifically about forecasting.
I'm still a little bit lost.
Yeah. Brian, if you can post a little bit more clarity with regard to your question, we'll be happy to have Grant answer that. I'll go on to the next one here. Mark says, if we don't have an item on hand in one warehouse, but still get the sale, and then in parentheses, transfer it from another warehouse, should it still be considered a lost sale? Ultimately, we still got the sale.
Yes, you got the sale. That's key. But now, remember what we're doing. Stellar customer experience at the lowest cost. You got the stellar experience unless they had to wait, and they're still okay with it, but we cut a transfer. Now, here's what it comes down to. Where did you want that inventory? If you came back and said, I was fine with it being transferred from the other branch. In fact, we set it up that way. We hold some inventory in one branch because it's not as important if these other branches will ship it to that branch and that customer as they need it. Great. But if you're sitting back and going, wow, we just took their inventory, and it would have been nice to have the inventory at the branch where the customer asked for it, and that's the key. Lost sales and exceptional sales allows you and your order entry people to say, no matter what I'm doing here to get the customer satisfied, I control where the usage is posted. So the key is next time when they come back next month, were you happy with it being at the other branch? Don't need to do anything. I would have preferred it to be at the branch they asked for at the order entry. Then it should have been a lost sale at the branch I shipped it from. A lost sale at the branch the customer wanted it from, and an exceptional sale or transfer from the branch I shipped it from.
Okay. In order to honor time, because we're 2 minutes before the top of the hour, Grant, I'm going to take one last question. Hector poses a question and says, with limited central warehouse staff, should we prioritize receiving or stock transfers to branches?
Get more people.
Get more people.
No. I mean, that's what it's coming down to. And again, I do go into a lot of organizations and say, we've got to have both, because here's what we just said. Should I be sending off I think I heard it right, should I be cutting my branch transfers or should I be receiving stock? Now, again, what we really have to do is say, what's going on there. And again, this is a great for EOQ and for line point. Is your company buying too often and you seats coming in you can't keep up? And are we shipping such small quantities to our branches that we're cutting transfers 2 and 3 times a week? Now, that doesn't fix your first problem. I can't answer which one you should be doing first, because the best way I can answer it is if you have customers waiting for that inventory, whether it's at the central warehouse for that receiving stock receipt or at one of those sub warehouses waiting for that transfer, if I had to choose, that's what I would be doing. But I would be bringing that. We shouldn't be in that situation except once in a while. You shouldn't have to sit there and decide which one. So I'd be coming back and looking at my line points, my EOQs, my cost to carry and cost to purchase. Say, something's not right, and here's all it is. When you run your system quicker than your people can keep up, we have fires and we have extra money being eaten up in costs off our bottom line, and you want to stabilize that through better processes, education, and utilization of technology. Gloria, back to you.
Well, thank you. We do have a couple more questions that have populated. So what I would like to do at this time is to let anybody that's interested in following up with you with further question is to reach out to you. Grant, what is the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they have any further questions, or if they want to know more about the December event that might not be clear, which I doubt would be the case because you're really concise, but what's the best way for someone to reach out and connect with you?
On that PowerPoint, on the first page and the last page, or the second to last page, is my email. But let me give it to you here. G. Howard, so Grant Howard, G. Howard at GWHCO.org. That's Grant Wesley Howard Company, GWHCO.org. So G. Howard at GWHCO.org, Gloria.
Wonderful. Grant, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge today. Make sure that you all mark your calendar and be on the lookout for that invitation for November 10th for part 2 of this presentation. And as with most all of our webinar content, this will be available on our TUG website next business day for future reference and access to any of the content. So make sure that you check that link, and also it'll be posted to the forum board as well. We'd like to invite those of you who are not yet members of TUG to continue, or who are members of TUG to continue this discussion in the online members only forums. Our next webinar will take place on Friday with a robust roundtable focusing on assembly and service. So make sure you watch your inbox and the TUG forum boards for the announcement with registration links. For those of you who are not members yet, please visit theusergroup.org and join us today. And as they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap, folks.